Hi, it's Natasha.
And Khalil.
And we are the co-hosts of
WokeNFree.
Thank you for tuning in to our 67th episode of WokeNFree. If you've been tuning in every week for WokeNFree Wednesday, you know that WokeNFree is all about being real and honest with each other and you. We talk about everything and anything that's important to us, to you, the world, and nothing is off the table. In this episode, we're talking about whether anything is really possible. But before we dive deep into the subject, we have a couple of questions to ask you. First, have you subscribed to WokeNFree on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Play, YouTube, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Spotify? Guys, we're on 22 platforms and going. So please go to WokeNFree.com and subscribe away. Next, have you shared an episode with friends or family? If not, please share the episode that you are listening to right now. It is going to be a good one. Next, if you haven't hollered at us on social media and you'd like to chat or learn more about our show, even talk about being a guest, where will you find us? At WokeNFree on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, as well as on YouTube. So come on now, let's chat. Then lastly, we'd love your feedback on any of our episodes. So if you could review our show on any of the platforms we're on, such as iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Play, YouTube, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and all the other platforms we're on, you can see all of the platforms and you can share and make your decision as to where you want to review us on WokeNFree.com.
Each week we like to share a little bit about us before we dive into the topic for the episode. Last week we shared whether we'd rather get a surprise or a gift chosen for us. This week we're sharing, do we prefer comfortable shoes over stylish shoes?
Okay, Khalil, you really are letting the holidays get to you, man. What kind of question is that?
It's about form over function. Which do you
want
prefer?
Clogs or sandals? Like,
those both are the same thing, though. It's not
actually,
different.
they're not.
In terms of comfort, they are. Same amount of comfort from both. Depends
on the clogs, depends on the sandals. But I would say, especially given my background with fashion and kind of what I do with my company, Dressing Room A, I would say I advise women that when it comes to fashion choices, I know as much as sometimes we see in media and magazines that it is a comfort over style option. In reality, you can choose. Not every designer or every shoe will be both comfortable and stylish, but there are shoes that fit the box, or you can check both boxes off. So my recommendation, and for myself and for others, is to try something that is both stylish and comfortable. But if you have to choose between something that's super duper stylish and not so comfortable, again, if that's the intention that you want, if you can bear the paying for the look, then go with it. But my number one choice is to always choose something that's both comfortable and stylish. And you?
Well, my number one choice is to always choose something that's comfortable and comfortable.
So you would totally go with clogs.
They'd have to be comfortable. And they got to be practical. The problem with clogs is if you get caught in the rain, you're done. And the reason I go with comfort is, think about it.
Singing in the rain.
Think about the reason you'd want to go with comfort. Would you rather have shoes on or no shoes? I don't want to be barefooted, so I'm going to go with comfort because I always have those shoes on. You could have those stylish shoes, but then you got to remove them at the end of the night. What good are those?
I feel like this is a deeper question for you, Khalil.
So now you know. Now you know comfort is very much the choice that you should be making.
Okay, so now that we've addressed that riveting question, I think it's really...
Now we know the true side of both of us. Now people know. And
Indeed.
They're very excited, the listeners, to hear this.
Indeed.
They were wondering that, too, so we've answered a long-lost question.
We get you woken free every single week, whether it's asking about flowers, rocks, or shoes.
Rocks.
You've had a question about rocks, my dear.
That's a good one.
So, definitely
keep that
in mind. But I think we can get this party started, and let's start it off with a bang. Is anything in life really possible?
Now, I'd say it depends on how you take the word. If you take it literally, then I think you could run into like a paradoxical situation. So sort of like the following. If you create an obstacle that you can't overcome, that obstacle is actually insurmountable. Then that proves that anything is impossible because you can't overcome it. Likewise, if you can't create this insurmountable obstacle, then anything is not possible because you can't create that situation either. Now, I know this wouldn't make sense for you want to do. Why are you creating obstacles for yourself since anything's possible? But I'm just trying to like illustrate that there are situations where this statement it doesn't make any sense. So, but if you take it on a more realistic level, that's where you can say, yeah, almost anything is possible, and that is more feasible to say almost anything is possible, not every single thing is possible.
I mean, I think in the point that the illogical scenario that you presented,
well, it's a logical game. It's not about it's illogical in terms of no one's going to do that, but it is a logical conclusion.
But I think that the point is though
it's like a truth statement.
In the verbiage that you said yourself, if you want to create an obstacle that you cannot
I didn't
overcome,
say one. I just said if you create.
Fine. If you create an obstacle that you can't overcome, that would to me imply the idea that you have the intention of this obstacle as well as the intended outcome. So you're creating the possibility of obstacle. So like, to me, that's how I interpret that. That like you have an obstacle because you want the obstacle and you intend to not overcome it.
But
so
you made it.
That is a possibility that you've made for yourself because you've wanted it.
But it's not just an intention. You've made it impossible for you to overcome the obstacle.
But everything starts with an intention.
But, all right, fine. Intention or not, you made something impossible. So you just took away the possibilities of anything.
The impossibility is a possibility. So like that you intended it to be that, but it doesn't have to be that, right? It's because
then
you
it's
intended
impossible
that.
if it's not. It has to. What the statement is showing is it has to. If you can't make that possible, if you can't make that task that is impossible to do, then that proves there is not the possibility of everything. But just because it's impossible for you
doesn't mean it's impossible generally.
Well,
that's one thing.
You're
so
bringing
that's
up
what
other
I'm
things.
No, but that's what I'm saying though. Like it all goes back to intention. So like, for instance, Usain Bolt once said, "Believe in your dreams and that anything is possible." And I think that the idea of possibility being this infinite continuum exists because if people want that to be the case, then it will be the case. The same way as you say, if someone wants something to be impossible, it will be impossible. Not because it actually is an impossibility, but because of the intention set for the impossibility.
But then they actually didn't make something impossible.
They did, because it's impossible for them. It doesn't mean that it's impossible, period. Right? Possibility is a subjective perspective we're talking about because objectively,
but as a whole,
something could be possible for someone, but not 99% of everyone.
Well, but the whole point of the statement, possibility, saying anything is possible, means it's for anybody. It doesn't matter. It doesn't care about who it is. It's possibility in general.
Well, guess what I'm arguing is that the idea
if you make it self-reflective,
if anything is possible, is coming from what do you believe it to be.
Oh, see, you make it.
That's how I view. But okay, so I have some information to share. So Huffington Post contributor Jeffrey Shaw wrote in this really cool 2016 article that momentum thinking creates space and possibility. It's the thinking in the zone of possibilities rather than the zone of expectation. Expectation, by definition, is a predetermined outcome. We expect our business to hit a sales goal. We expect children to behave a certain way. We expect our lives to turn out as we envision. By thinking in terms of expectation, we have predetermined the outcome. In doing so, we have also shut down the possibility of so much more. With momentum thinking and trust, it's possible that you will receive much more than you ever could have imagined or expected. So possibility exists when you don't predetermine the outcome, and possibility exists outside of the zone of expectation. It takes trust to lean into all of that is possible, and it takes trust to create unlimited possibility. And so I completely agree with that, and I think that the scenario you presented was this whole I created an impossible situation with an impossible outcome. That is of the viewpoint of what he's saying, which is expectation. But if you go beyond that and say that because expectation, then he's saying, is kind of cutting off possibility. And so if you don't think under those guys, then you, in theory, could have unlimited possibility. But maybe we completely differ on it. I don't know. I just really liked his his whole differentiation there. I thought that was kind of an interesting analysis.
I'll just say later on I have a scenario that maybe illustrates my point a little bit better, and I'll see how you respond to that. Maybe that'll get down to the meat
I mean,
of
for
this.
me, I've always grew up with the idea that anything is possible. As an adult, I firmly, steadfast believe in that, and I really think that there's nothing in this world that can shake that for me. But I'm always looking to be challenged.
Well, it's if you look at it in the terms of like logic statements, that's where I think
I
that's
can
the issues that
think
come
of
up.
it only in the reality for which I live in. I'm not a logic professor. I'm not a, and I'm not, I don't necessarily just think in theory.
But
I
it's a
think in
way.
reality.
But it's a way that you. That's the whole purpose of it is the way to figure out what's actually
But
going
theory
to
doesn't
occur.
always go in line with reality. So you have to
Because you
always
can
be
miss
able
some of the
to-
points, but that's the whole point of making a logic statement. It's to simplify things that clearly illustrate what's happening.
I'm not a fan of the SATs, so I don't know.
Oh, I mean,
I'm not a fan of logic games. I think that it's just, I don't know. I think it's a way to like mind screw with you, and it's like, and again, if it doesn't happen in reality, who cares? Like, I don't know.
yeah, but it just shows you certain statements are just absolutes and they're they're not real. They're just made up.
We'll continue. I guess
That's the only thing I'd say. If anything is possible, if that wasn't true, what would be the obstacles to a limitless world?
So I think again, for me, I've always seen the idea of limitless options and possibilities that really come down to mindset. If you believe anything is possible, then you live in a reality where that exists true to you. It might not exist true to everyone else because our life is a reflection of what you think. So that's where I think as much as people like to look at things objectively, sometimes you have to take a subjective approach because that is how you're creating your curated life. You cannot live for everyone. You live for you. So if you do not believe that you can fly, if you do not believe things can happen and people can move things with their mind, and I know that sounds very far reaching and out there, but there are some people who claim that they can do that, and who the hell am I to say
And that's
that
already
they
been done
can't?
anyway. That's been done. That's nothing special. Doing something with your mind, they've done that already. You attach electrodes to your brain, you can make a ball float. I mean, there's easy things like that. That's simple.
I'm fascinated by the things you read on your own, Khalil.
See? That was my mind moving something. That's the sound it
That was
makes.
our really rude piglet dog.
That was definitely my mind moving something.
Okay, JJ.
They even they have a Jedi mind trick toy too for kids where they can attach something to their head and you can make a ball move.
Please.
I think it's something.
Why
like
haven't
that.
you never bought me that? That'd be an awesome Christmas gift.
Because it's pretty
Dad.
boring. It only moves in one direction.
I've never moved anything with my mind yet.
I mean, it's not. Once you do it once, you get over that, and you're just gonna
We
be
can do
tired
it
of
for
it.
Sunday Fun Day.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to pay $80 for a simple
$80 to move something.
It might be cheaper now, but it used to be expensive, and it wasn't like you're driving a car around with your mind. It wasn't that advanced. It was so
why
simple.
don't you make that then?
If I make that, then I'm gonna have to patent the design, and it's gonna cost some money.
Smart. Answer the question.
Well, that's easy. In a limitless world, the only real obstacle is the person themselves. That's really what it comes down to, what they believe in. Because I believe in the secret, so you can use that to manifest whatever you want.
And we did talk about The Secret, but just to rehash for anyone who didn't listen to that episode, what is The Secret all about?
It's all about listening to that episode that we talk about
Hey!
The secret.
And what is The Secret, Khalil?
You want me to explain to these listeners who haven't caught up to our latest episode?
Indeed.
All right. Well, The Secret is just it's believing. I mean, it's kind of what I just said, but it's visualizing and focusing on what you truly want, and using that to get what you want. So, not just saying like negative things, but let's say if you really wanted to get a new job, you focus on like having that new job and how you feel when you get that new job instead of focusing on what if I don't get the job. So it's about focusing on what you want. That's using The Secret to your best ability, I guess.
I would just add that, to be honest, The Secret, as I've interpreted it, is that it works in both ways, though. It works if you spend all your time working on things that you don't want, then you are creating scenarios where that becomes your reality. So it's really about what you're thinking, what you're vibing on, what you're focusing your attention on, and then also your action. Because, again, you can want $10 million, but if you just sit in your jammies and do nothing for it, you're not actually going to achieve that check. So you actually have to do things as well. So it's kind of attention and action meeting in the middle of the road and doing it for a prolonged period is what I would add to that. But
the law of attraction.
Indeed. All right. So If anything is possible, is this a sentiment that is accepted in our society and or promoted in our society?
No, I don't think most people accept that. They fall into like a trap where they believe they're stuck in their situation and there's not any way to overcome it. Because I hear that a lot of times. Like, I'm stuck at this
Oh
place.
God, yeah.
I can't. There's nothing I can do, or I'm stuck in this situation. There's no way I can get out of it. I have to do it. My family wants me to do it. Things like that. There's
Yeah.
no other. There's no other way out of this. You hear it all the time. People make
Yeah.
up these excuses of why things are the way they are, and that nothing else could be. And then it's funny, sometimes they're proven wrong the next day, and you're just like, hey, what were you saying?
Indeed.
They have nothing to say to you then.
So this is WokeNFree, and I want to get real right now. So my first point is about the fact that in this society, do we accept it as a true statement? I say yes and no. I think good parents and good adults teach children. I've heard it myself. You can do anything. The world is your oyster. But then there's this weird shift that happens where then you get older, and I think maybe around the teenage years, where then people start telling you, well, you should do things that are practical. You should really, be really pragmatic. I really hate that word. I think anyone who says it should have pain that happens in their wrist, so they stop saying that, because I think it's kind of like a AKA dream killer, and you just are not using the secret for you. You're using it against yourself. And I get really frustrated with this kind of, because I feel like I've experienced this as well. And I don't know where the shift happens from 6-year-olds. You can do anything. You can be anyone. And now you're 16 and it's like, well, can you really? Doesn't make sense to travel to Europe. You should really think about, why be a doctor? Be a nurse. Well, you want to be a mother. So maybe be a teacher, right? So you can do really, be smart, but not too smart. All that kind of language and narrative. And then secondly, this is the WokeNFree part. As people of color, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this as well, I think that there is an unfortunate sentiment in our community, or at least in African American culture, and I'm of Caribbean descent, but of Black people in this country that really struggle with coming from a scarcity mindset of and again, there's a lot that has happened in this country towards people of color and with racism and institutionalized racism. But I do think that there's a sentiment of, we can only achieve but so much, and, we can do things, but other people who don't look like us can do more, ... I'd love your thoughts on that, because I think that we as people struggle with that, to be honest, of this scarcity and not believing that everything is possible for us, and sadly teaching other generations that sentiment.
Oh, wait. So are you talking about how parents of minorities basically will teach their kids, this is as much as you can achieve, so don't aim too high or else you'll get burnt, kind of thing?
Don't fluff the feathers too much. Achieve, but don't overachieve. I think it works both ways. I think there's some people of color who are buck the system and they go for it all.
I think there's some parents who definitely tell you
do.
You can be the best, or you will be the best.
But there are also some that are why do you want to go to college when you could work in the family restaurant, and that. And I just want to keep it real, 100% transparent.
Well, probably I would say majority of just people that are from a worse economic background. Their parents are going to tell them, hey, don't worry, as long as you can do this and you can just get enough money, that's all that counts. You don't have to go for that managerial position. You don't have to try all that. You don't have to get education. Just get a job, earn some good money, keep your head low. They'll say stuff like that.
Which is challenging. And we see that narrative in television. So that's why I want, and film and real life. And I just wanted to bring that up because I think, and again, we are open to you guys challenging us and chiming in here. So if you disagree with us and you're hells to the no, please put that in the comments. But I think that there's that undertone that is happening with people of color, not all people of color, but some families. And I think it needs to be addressed, because I think it's prohibiting some of us from moving ahead if your parents are telling you don't achieve more. If your parents are telling you be happy with just enough. And I think it starts to shut down the idea of possibility when everyone around you is telling you everything is impossible.
The only thing I can't speak on specifically, because I didn't really experience much of it, is how the public schools are teaching these kids in those situations. Because most of my life I was in private school, so I didn't experience education from a poor neighborhood. I never experienced that. I always had private education, and then I had public education, but it wasn't as bad of a situation as it could have been. It wasn't from like a really poor town or something. But I'm wondering what's happening to these children that come from really poor towns. What are they really taught?
Yeah.
What are they told the professions that they can actually aspire to? What colleges are they said, hey, you can go to? Are they really taught financial tips? Things like that.
I grew up in Manhattan. I grew up middle class. I'm not going to lie. So I wasn't necessarily exposed to all walks of life in the public school arena. But what I will say is with my work through my company, Dressing Room 8 and Long Island Girl Talk, that the girls have expressed that these teachers sometimes call them the N-word. That, I remember one instance when girls told me that their teacher outrightly said to them that if you want to learn, sit in the front, and if you don't, sit in the back. So I do think that some of these girls in poorer situations and children in poorer situations are not made to feel special, made to get encouraged to learn if you don't want to. I think the failure is an option, I would say, in educational systems. And I experienced that as well. I wasn't called the N-word at school by my teacher, but I was called the N-word by a teacher in a school. So I think there's a lot of crap that's going on, to be honest.
Well, what's the impact of living life with the philosophy that anything is possible?
So hello, Jeff Bezos. Hello, Oprah. Hello, Tony Robbins. Hello, any other successful person who's celebrated in our society as kicking ass simply because they are on this wavelength, that they've joined the bandwagon. And I don't think it's an easy mindset to have, nor do I think it's an easy life to pursue. But I do think that the difference between people who are uber successful and people who are not uber successful from a financial power structure, right? Because success, we had that episode as well. There's different ways to define success. There's no one way to be successful in this world. But if you talk about it from a how much money you have, where you live, how many assets you have kind of perspective, I think that this philosophy becomes a living testimony for those people who live that truth and who execute it in their business, in their family, in their communities that they're a part of. Because I think that belief system helps them as they continue to build businesses, as they continue to strive for new opportunities. But if you don't even have that mindset, why would you want to have a television network show? Why would you want your own magazine? Why would you want to be the most successful coach in the world? Why would you? So that's why I'm saying mindset, as much as sometimes people try to blow over that and are like, you don't have to be the most positive, maybe, but I've yet to have come across content from uber successful people that said, being negative really helped me succeed. I've listen, if it's out there, guys, WokeNFree Nation, holler at us, tell us, but I've yet to have seen that.
Yeah, I think another impact that comes with this philosophy is actually achieving goals even though things get really hard. Because I think a lot of times people get hit with something, they start a new business, they might not get as much traction as they want, and they just quit.
Yes.
But that's probably due because they don't think anything is possible. They're like, oh, it's not working out, I'm going to have to stop. But if they thought anything is possible, they know, hey, you know what? No matter what, I'm going to be successful, so I better keep going. So this philosophy can actually help you through really hard times. It'll help you achieve things that might not have seemed feasible, but because you know that it can happen, it will happen.
Exactly.
I think it's a great way to push you on, keep you going.
Exactly. It starts with your mind. If you believe it is possible, then you can make it possible. But if you don't believe it's possible, what does that mean? You won't try to make it possible. One feeds into the other. So is mindset alone going to achieve your dreams? No. But it's a hell of a first step. I'll tell you that. Now, do you personally believe anything is possible?
Well, like I said earlier, I don't think... I was going to say not absolutely everything. I gotta be real. Everything that's practical, everything that is practical is possible. So it's impossible, like I was saying before, to create barriers that you can't overcome. That's a good thing I'm saying. You should agree with that. By your
choice.
You're saying
you are creating that option. It's a possibility of impossibility. By your
No, but
terms.
once you do that, you can't have a negative and then... Look, that negative just canceled out your positive of the possibility. Look.
So then there's no impossibility, and there is impossibility. Ha ha ha.
There you go. That proves things are impossible.
It proves that it doesn't mean that it's impossible.
Yes, it does.
If it cancels it out, then it
got rid of it.
That means that
But
it's
then there's
not
no
a,
theory. No, but then the
so
theory's
then
out
it's
the window.
blank,
You can't
so then
say.
you don't know.
But-
Ding. So
but
then
then you
you
can't say
exist
it's-
in neutrality. That's where you
No,
exist. Then.
I'm not existing. I'm saying you can't make a well, from your point, you can't make the statement either way. But from my point, it's impossible because impossible takes away that possibility of doing an action.
Possibility is in the word impossible. You do
Yeah.
realize that, right?
And yeah, but that's telling you that it's not possible. It's just saying
It's telling you that it is possible, but you...
it's not because you're making a.
Lord.
You can't have the possibility.
This is a circular trade, man.
You can't have. Look, you can't have the possibility of impossibility. You can't. There's no possibility of impossibility because then possibility is not there.
You're trying to confuse
the whole
everybody
thing.
listening. That's what you're trying
No,
to do.
but that's
You're talking in tongues
watch my.
right now.
I really want to see your reaction. Though I've got to hear what you're gonna say. It's gonna be
All
so
right.
interesting.
Okay.
But one thing I'll mention that I know that things that might not be possible are possible is I've witnessed a small child leap over an 8-foot plus garage door. So there's that.
You're a fool.
That was a real situation too.
You are a fool.
I've seen that. You tell me how
Shout
that
out
happens.
to Keenan. Think I don't know your scenarios you bring up.
Come on
I hope
now.
he listens and comes for you.
Come on now. I didn't mention no names.
Yep, but we're WokeNFree, so that's how we have to roll up in here.
Come on now.
Yes. Okay. So the answer is yes, fool. Anything is possible.
Yes to a fool is what it would be. Exactly. You're telling people how they should think, then.
Stop.
All right. You just told them.
Everything and anything is possible. And impossibility only exists because it's a possibility that you want for yourself. So thus everything is possible.
No, but then you eliminated the possibility, so impossible is like dark matter. It just took everything out.
No, it doesn't.
It didn't even think about
Possibility
it. It's like,
knocked out
goodbye.
the impossibility, so thus you
No,
have
it
the
didn't.
plane. Yes, you do.
Oh, no, here's
You know what it is? It's
you
like
know what exactly
the
happened?
lightsabers, the good one against
We
the
can
bad
use
one,
words.
and they hit, and they don't break apart. It just
Imagine
forms together and creates one line.
Imagine your lightsaber creates a dark lightsaber, and then that dark lightsaber says no good lightsaber can exist. That's impossible. That can't happen because then the good lightsaber could have never
crazy.
created the dark lightsaber. See how there's
I
possibilities
wish
just
Yoda
like
really
that.
existed and he told you the truth because anything is possible. And I don't want to get too cheesy, but I'm gonna do it because you've provoked me now. And so
Oh no. This
every
better
time
not
I
be
look
cheese.
at you, I know that anything is possible because 14 years ago, when I first saw you for the first time in my life at a Greyhound bus stop, shout out to Penn State, shout out to Greyhound Station, in Center County, Pennsylvania, not only did I see the most beautiful person in my entire life, but I heard a voice in my head that told me to speak to you. I have never heard anyone else's voice inside of me other than me until that one moment happened. And since that, my life has transformed. And I never thought that would be possible, whether you call that voice God, whether you call it the universe, the intuition, whatever. An impossible act happened. And my life has been better because of that. So anything is possible, Khalil. Anything.
Except for impossible things, like I mentioned previously.
A child jumping off it. You can agree that that's possible, but not anything is possible.
I said most things are possible. So let's say like 99.9%. And I told you, it comes down to practicality. Practically
I hate that word.
anything that
I hate
you
that
want.
word.
Yeah, because people use it in a bad manner. They're like, oh, you can't build a building on your own. See, they say stuff like that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking bigger and better. Like, I'm talking about, universal stuff. I'm talking about traveling planets, traveling at the speed of light. Let's talk about
I'm
that
gonna
stuff.
punish you later.
I'm talking about like sci-fi stuff.
I'm going to punish you.
Sci-fi, like science fiction is possible. That's fine. But if you get into the mind games of actual logics, there's certain things that you can't do.
You're not even moved by my touching testimony to our love
I was so moved by that.
that you argued after. You bloody fool!
I was moved. I moved into a wall, though. That was the problem. I moved right into that brick wall of impossibility. That messed me up. That barrier.
You bastard!
I know. That impossibility wall just hit me right in the face. You got to be careful when you're running so fast.
60 years later from now, I will prove to you, and you will finally come over and say, Tasha, you were right. I was a fool. That's what I'm gunning for.
Well, prove it to me. What is one thing that you think is possible, no matter how impractical or impossible it seems to be?
that we can like read each other's minds and that we could speak to each other in our minds. We currently don't do that, and I know that maybe some people do that, but it's not on a massive scale. I'm not following all scientific studies, but I think that is something I've seen, in film mostly, and I think that that's a possibility, as well as also levitation and not being like a monk. I think that those are things that are deemed impossible that are possible.
All right, those are good ones. Those are good ones. And what I think is growing babies. I think that's going to be possible.
They just did something. Was it in Russia or somewhere? No, not Russia. It was somewhere else. And they removed like a dead uterus, or a uterus from a dead woman, and they had
transplanted it into another woman, and she was able to have a successful birth.
So that's really cool. But you're talking about growing babies like from like stem cells kind of situation.
Or whatever in a chamber.
Well, they're doing it with the animals, so I mean, eventually, won't they be able
I don't know if they've been successful though. I haven't heard of any successful outside of the womb growth of any mammal. If that happens, that's a big thing. Now, I think some Chinese scientists have claimed to have done that. That there's been claims, but there's been no proof so far. No journals or anything have come out yet. So.
Gotcha.
But I think that'll be possible, and it seems like an impossibility right now.
I like it.
Here we go, yo. Here we go, yo. So what's the scenario? It's scenario time, guys. Scenario 1. The goddess Wosalatu challenged her sister Mba to an impossible task. She told her, if you can create a mountain you cannot move, I shall state my sister is capable of anything. Mba proceeded to create an immovable mountain and asked her sister to make her proclamation about her. Wosalatu laughed, ha ha ha, and said she cannot make that statement for it would now be false. Is Wosulatu mistaken in her thought, or did she just disprove the validity of an age-old statement?
What the hell are you talking about? What the hell are you talking about? I don't even understand.
This is supposed to be clear. This is supposed to clear up all you think.
I know M'Baku from Black Panther, but
Mba. That's her name. That's her sister's name. Her sister's name is Mba.
So, goddess, are we in this plane? Or are we in another universe, Khalil?
This is an ancient tale that has been
on
told.
Earth?
Yes, it's happened on Earth, and it's been passed down through centuries and centuries. So, see, her sister was given the task of making a mountain that was immovable. She then did it, and she wanted to be told, look, anything's possible because I made a movable mountain. But then she said, I'm not going to say that because you can't move that mountain. It's not possible.
This doesn't even make sense. This
Why
is an illogical scenario.
Okay, what's illogical about it? Let's hear your
someone,
statement.
So X asked Y to make, because I can't with you and your names. X asked Y make a mountain that X could not move, and then
no, that Y cannot move.
That Y could not move.
Yeah.
And Y both made the mountain and moved the mountain. You're saying
Y just made the mountain and now asked X to say, hey, you asked S to tell Y that she can do anything.
I'm so confused. So wait, but wasn't the task to make the mountain and then move it?
The task was to make the mountain and make it immovable, and then you would be rewarded by saying you can do anything. But the person said, I'm not going to say that statement because that statement is false.
But the person made the mountain but didn't move it?
They can't move it because they successfully...
Can they move it or did they not move it?
They can't. It's impossible.
By thought or by reality?
It's by all powers that be. They can't move it.
See, this is just a reiteration of what you were saying earlier with weird names, Khalil.
What do you mean weird names?
You were saying the one, if you can do the possible, it's not impossible. Possible is not impossible. Possible, impossible.
Look.
You're just doing back.
No, this is the logic game. The person
I don't do logic. I live in reality.
All right, yeah,
so.
but that's the whole point with the possibilities is you're saying realities, but certain things haven't happened.
You're saying to me that the mountain is immovable because, again, that she didn't want to move the mountain.
No, it's not about once, though. It's literally made where she can't.
Did she try to move the mountain or not? You didn't say you're not.
We didn't go into that, but she can't.
So then I can't answer. To me, I can't answer because...
But if she goes to try it, she can't do it. I didn't go into that, but no, she can't move the mountain.
Because
she's
she
successful.
doesn't want to, or it literally cannot be moved.
It can't be moved. It can't be moved. It's impossible.
But see, what's interesting about the task that's provided is it doesn't say immovable by you. It just says immovable. So, like, what if it's immovable by you, but immovable by someone else? Does that violate the task?
No, this mountain can't be moved moved by anybody or anything. It's literally immovable.
By
it's gonna
human
be there.
beings
No.
on this earth?
Every creature that
But see
exists,
how
every
how you
spirit,
can keep,
every
no.
piece of the universe.
I don't
it's
believe that that's a
immovable.
possibility. I think
Oh,
that
but
it
that-
could be. I think
yes.
you could always have.
I call that a win.
I think this whole thing is because you're saying something's
back to what you
impossible.
said, though.
No, you're saying something's impossible because you want it to be impossible, not because it really is impossible.
No, I'm not saying you want it to be.
That's
I'm not
what
saying wants.
that's the task is. Make
it's not.
something immovable, and that because that's what the person wants it
No,
to
no,
be
not
immovable.
the person
That's the
doesn't-
intention of the ask.
No, yeah, but
The ask is make something immovable, which means the person wants it
Fine,
to be
what-
immovable. So thus
cares
the
about
outcome
wants?
can be immovable
No, but it
only
can't be.
because of intention,
it
not
can't
because
be
of reality.
It can't be immovable because if it is truly immovable, then nothing is possible.
By
not everything is
intention,
possible.
but see, this is
intention or
where
not, though,
we
it doesn't
differ.
matter.
I'm saying
Why are you
impossibility
saying intention
only
matters?
exists in intention with
Oh,
intention.
see, that's
Yeah.
I think that's the hint
That's
of
where
your,
that's the
because
the differing
you're
bit.
trying to fall back on
It's
intention,
intention,
and not just on
not reality.
absolute.
Just because something's impossible doesn't mean it's impossible because it's impossible, but it's impossible because of intention.
So
That
you're
is why
trying
it's
to
impossible.
you're trying to say the intention.
That's
of
why
doing it.
possibility always
but that doesn't
can
make,
exist.
Because that wouldn't make any sense. Because then it's, I mean, if you tie things down to intention,
Yes.
it's too flip.
Not everything, but I'm saying when it comes to the conversation of possibility
All right,
and
just for this,
impossibility.
for this specific thing.
I'm saying
when you tie it,
impossibility only
if you
exists
tie it
because
to
of intention as well as possibility.
Yeah, then that's-
only exists because of intention. They both are hinged on intention.
I don't think a possibility is
Yeah,
an intention.
so we disagree in how
I
we
guess
view
that's
the
why.
concept.
I look at it just as its own standalone. Nothing. I don't care about outside forces. I look about it as it's just an idea on its own. And as an idea on its own, it doesn't stand because of this.
Try again, scenario 2.
Because even you had to say that's impossible. You did mention those words.
Oh, impossibility exists. I'm not saying impossibility doesn't exist because someone wants it to not exist. That's why impossibility exists. But it absolutely exists because you want it that way, not because it is that way.
This
There's
is
a difference.
crazy, guys. That's all I can say.
Tony Robbins would totally agree with me. Bring him up.
This is nuts.
You're nuts.
This is
M'Baku.
crazy. I'm bringing up these good logic points, and you just...
I live in
crazy.
reality, crazy man.
You're saying that possibly happened. This may be a true story that I just hinged on. I might have
Goddess-
acquired this from the universe.
Goddess Wasaltu.
Hey, careful. Don't talk so bad of these otherworldly beings. If they come to this planet, how am I going to protect you from Umba?
Well, apparently, my death might be a
Come on.
possibility or impossibility, depending on what you feel like that
She
day.
may make it impossible for you to die. You don't know. We don't know what can happen.
Good. I don't want to die.
Making you a vampire. But now let's continue to
Oh, God.
scenario
This is
2.
getting weird, guys.
Doris comes from a family of doctors and nurses. Of course, when she goes to college, she's expected to enroll in a pre-med major. This makes her really depressed because she is a budding artist with thousands of followers on the gram. She was told by her brother, who is a doctor, that it is impossible for her to make a living off of art. What should she say to her brother, and what should she do now that she is in her last year of school?
She should tell him to F off. And she should, yeah. When your family refuses to support you, they're no better than the dirt on the street. Like, that's ridiculous. And I'm sorry, I feel very vehemently empowered by that, because I think that, there's a huge narrative that goes around in film and television amongst our own families that family is everything. Always celebrate your family. And when your family refuses to be there for you when you really need it, like life changing decisions in your career or your love life, and they tell you can't, F them. That's what I say to that. And I think she should, in her last year of school, if it means something to her to finish off her degree and get the accreditation as a doctor, she absolutely should do that. I don't think being an artist or being a doctor are mutually exclusive. I think that she just needs to decide if she's going to be real about this art career. What her next steps will depend on the type of art she's pursuing, the types of relationships and networking she builds. Does she need to do some art shows? Does she need to get a degree in art? Is that something that she's interested in? So just kind of exploring her art plans. But anyone who tells her that she can't do it, she should send them a picture with her middle finger up. That's what she should do.
That's a nice sentiment.
I think so. Yeah, I'm glad that you agree. Yeah.
To her good old brother.
Yeah, suck it. Yeah. What's your advice?
I should say she should ask to borrow money from her brother to start her
You
own
of all people
company.
said that. Oh, okay.
Because her brother's a doctor. He's got some money to spare, maybe, and then she can
After
prove
his
him wrong.
$500,000 student loan debt. Yeah. He's got lots of loads to share. Yeah.
You could trade in the Benz, and then she can go and start her career off.
Why don't
She's got to get her collection together, and she wants to be put in a gallery.
Why doesn't he commission her to paint murals in his home?
That's a quick way to go broke. I mean, she does that. I mean, that's not gonna work out too well.
$25 per square foot. Yep.
Well, he can give her minimum wage.
Amazing.
See? Or he can get her a hookup. You remember in that movie where the person was painting for people, and it was kind of like a, what was it? It was to make people feel better, to calm them down or something. I forgot what they call that.
Wow.
It was in 50 First Dates at the end when she was doing the paint, or was it 50? I don't know what movie it was.
First dates. Huh.
But it was like art for medicinal purposes.
Oh, okay. I mean, there is art therapy.
Art therapy. Maybe it was something like that. But I remember there was this art teacher that was teaching that.
Maybe, yeah.
And it was a medicinal thing for people.
Listen,
so
guys,
see, she can do that, and look at that. It kind of ties your doctor to the.
She could.
The medical field to your art.
She could absolutely do a therapeutic art kind of
therapeutic
career,
art, something like that.
For sure. I mean, I think that, the sentiment to this scenario is the idea that life is really short, and it is too short to live for expectations of others as opposed to intentions of your own. And I think you need to choose you always. And if people refuse to support you, F them. Because who are you living for? I mean, I think that is something that people need to really wrap their mind around, because it seems obvious, but it is not. And there are a lot of people not living their truth because they're too afraid of what mom and dad and grandma and sister and brother say. And it's like, unless they are paying your bills and you literally do not want to find a way to pay your own bills, do it. But if you're fine with living a life for others because you want them to pay your bills, I mean, that's a choice too. That's your life. That's your prerogative. But if you want to do you and get paid for it, do you.
Scenario 3. Mbaikwe started a business offering a large collection of movies available to view online for a small monthly fee to customers. During her pitches to potential investors, she's been repeatedly told this idea is impossible to sustain, and studios would never let this happen. Is this really true, or can Mbaikwe really change the streaming game as we all know it?
You really just have too much fun making these, don't you?
This is the universe. Blame the universe on what happens.
Blame the universe.
Yeah. There should be a song called that.
There will be a song called that. Yeah, amazing.
That's the good
Okay,
one.
guys. WokeNFree Nation, here we go. So, first of all, this is inspired based off of personal reference points, I believe.
No, that's other people have had these ideas before, too.
Okay.
Let's just put that forward.
All right. Fair enough. I think that it sounds like a brilliant idea. It's definitely an idea that I would be behind. So I'm biased, full transparency.
Oh, oh boy.
What I would say is, again, guys, when you think of possibility and impossibility, me and Khalil starkly differ on this, but they both are attached to the idea of intention. So if she thinks that this is a possibility and she's doing what she needs to do to make this a possibility, just because these potential investors are not interested does not mean she will not speak to 1 or 20 or 50 who do see this as a possibility. Now, will it mean that she will be able to get all movies? Will she get Black Panther and, all of the new coming
Avengers.
Marvel films? Yeah, on there? Maybe not at first. Maybe she has to start with old movies and then up her collection and get past the Westerns, get on that Lifetime bit, and get, and slowly grow the company. But I think it is absolutely a possibility. Hello, Spotify did not exist 50 years ago, right? So and I'm sure that someone said the idea of streaming music, what record companies would agree to that, and all these years later, now we have all these streaming platforms. So anything is possible, and this idea sounds fabulous. So, yes. I can't say your name, baby, but I'd support.
Well, besides you not being able to say her name,
yes,
this definitely can happen, as we've seen in the past.
Indeed.
Even with how Apple did with iTunes and the music game and really change it up. Before, all this music used to be under strict control and protection. You couldn't just copy things to any device, but then iTunes freed the music, basically. They made digital music a reality.
Yep.
So just as digital music is a reality, we can have these streaming movies a reality as well. I think it's definitely possible. You just need a big company or even a small company to really get this idea off the ground. The small company probably can do it because they don't have much to lose, and they probably have less, they have less holdups. So it may come from a small company. You never know.
Her biggest cost is really going to be her legal, because you have to go through all those contracts
and
and
licensing is going to be the expense.
That's the kicker. That's she's going to have all those overhead costs.
That's why she needs these investors to get that money together, because that's what it's all about.
That's the biggest kicker. But once she gets that streaming service going and you make it an affordable $15.99, $20.99, people have access to 5,000 films or more. You're on and you're rocking. So
just get a big subscriber base, and then there you go. It'll start to pay for itself.
Exactly. And WokeNFree Nation, if you know of something like this in actual reality, holler at us, because we both would be very interested in something like this. But we are at that time again. This was quite the episode, our 67th episode of WokeNFree. I knew you were going to go up. Yep. Mm-hmm.
No, you did not.
Yes, I did.
Oh, boy.
Is this a musical?
No, it's not.
Clearly not. Clearly not. You sounded like you died there. No expecting that.
Exactly.
This was quite the episode, talking all about whether anything is possible. I hope, and Khalil hopes, definitely, we hope, that you are not only riveted, but you also have a lot of comments to share, because we really want to hear your opinion, not only on our scenarios, but along the conversation. What points are triggering you? What do you think? Please, let's have a conversation. Go to WokeNFree.com and share your thoughts. And I always ask, but, we got to do it every single time. Will I leave you hanging for what our next episode will be all about? Drum roll, please.
On our next episode, we will be talking about whether the death penalty is right or wrong. Make sure you follow us on social media to follow along in the conversation. And make sure you tune in next week for WokeNFree Wednesday to join the conversation at WokeNFree.com.
If you want to be a guest on our show, please submit a topic for our upcoming episode on our Contact Us page at WokeNFree.com. That is WokeNFree.com. And if you are interested and wanting to talk with us on social media, have questions, have thoughts, please don't be shy. Hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube at WokeNFree.
If you didn't already subscribe, please do. Share the episode and make sure you come back to join the conversation every Wednesday for WokeNFree Wednesdays. Remember, WokeNFree is more than a podcast, it is a way of life. Until next time.